Today we're laddering with the team that won the Grand Challenge recently. It was built and piloted by a player named Nick Navarre, also known as Nails. Very good player, obviously. I've played him once in a tournament last year and got crushed, but also he won the Grand Challenge, which is a lot more impressive than crushing me. The team is very much built for the closed team sheet meta. I watched his team report, and he talked extensively about the choices that he made for that would not necessarily work so well in open team sheets. You can see his team report on the CK49 channel. But in any case, now that this team is out there, I'm not sure some of the text will work as well as they did before, but on the Showdown ladder, you never know. One of the key pieces here is Assault Vest Blood Moon Ursaluna, which, as Nick mentioned repeatedly in his team report, is able to take a Make It Rain from Goldango and hit back with Earth Power, or knock Goldango out at low HP with a Vacuum Wave if need be. Then we have the Porygon 2, this one running the classic Ice Beam and Thunderbolt coverage with Trace to copy Dondozo's Unaware and a whole host of other interesting abilities. Also able to set Trick Room for the Ursaluna. Covert Cloak Amoonguss doesn't worry at all about being faked out. It's with Spore, Rage Powder, Pollen Puff, and Sludge Bomb. Then we have the Incineroar, this one running some attack investment, actually a fair bit of attack investment, to do some extra damage with the Knockoff and Flare Blitz. I'm going to skip to Sneasler for now, and this one's running a Focus Sash, and with Poison Touch and Dire Claw has, I think, favorable odds to get some kind of status condition on the opponent every time it attacks with Dire Claw, and Nick mentioned in the team report that with Sneasler, you basically click Dire Claw unless you have a compelling reason to click something else, because he considers the move just that broken, and I think that bore out for him in the Grand Challenge. Also Terra Dark with Throat Chop to cover for some of its weaknesses, and then I skipped over Dragapult because he said it was the Pokemon he used least in the Grand Challenge, but it is here paired with Sneasler once again with a Choice Band U-Turn set. So yeah, we'll get some games with this, and we'll see how it goes. Like I said, hopefully not suffer too much from the team being known now, but I'm sure it's a very strong team either way. We will not be playing open team sheets today because this team is made for closed team sheets pretty explicitly. We've got the Wolf Glick using Toedscruel stuff, but it's not his team, and in fact, it also wants to use its abilities with the Volcarona and the, I don't know the names of Oricorio's forms, but the Ghost Oricorio. So a couple of very different modes that this person can run that don't necessarily play nicely together. My guess is maybe you want to try to set up the Oricorio and then get Weezing in later, but who's to say? I think I want Incineroar in this matchup. Porygon 2 could be kind of funny, actually. Porygon 2 could be pretty good here with Trace. If it gets either Flame Body or Dancer, I think there's a lot of funny potential either way. Let's bring Dragapult, Incineroar, Porygon 2, Ursaluna. This doesn't quite feel right. It's kind of awkward, but we'll give it a go. As they lead Toedscruel, Weezing, so I have to watch out for a Strange Steam or a Dazzling Gleam, especially since I see it's Terra Dragon Dragapult. Actually didn't check that earlier. I guess Ursaluna, though. I mean, I don't want to let Ursaluna fall asleep. Maybe it's better to let Porygon 2 fall asleep. Porygon 2 can still threaten Weezing, I think, with its special coverage. So let's just U-turn into the Weezing. It could protect. We'll cover for that by clicking Fake Out into Toedscruel. Wow, which crits and does 25%. Another thing about this team, Nick mentioned in the team report, no Protect at all, which was, again, a closed team sheet choice of his. The opponent has to respect Protect if they don't know that you don't have it. But here they might know. We'll see. Okay. First, Trace doesn't go off in the neutralizing gas. And Porygon 2 took a fair bit of damage there. I don't like that. How do I deal with this Toedscruel? I think I'll try to set Trick Room. And I'll just go for a knockoff into Toedscruel. Okay, it puts Porygon 2 to sleep. and Incineroar just drops to Strange Steam. I do have to remember that this is not especially bulky an Incineroar as I usually run. And actually the Galarian Weezing is looking like a pretty big problem for this team. I think I have to start letting the Assault Vest Ursaluna get worn down here. There's not a whole lot else going for me. I'll try again to set Trick Room, and I'll go for an Earth Power into Weezing, but I think Ursaluna goes to sleep before it gets the attack off. Actually, they go for Acid Spray. Oh, they Acid Sprayed into Incineroar earlier. That's why it dropped so quickly. We do get rid of Weezing, but Ursaluna took... Oh my god, a Porygon 2 traced by Celium Might. What a start to this video. Ursaluna took so much damage that I'm not sure we can come back from this. Getting Trick Room up is good, though. Most likely. To show the Volcarona. Oh man, my Celium Might is actually kind of a problem, huh? I will Thunderbolt into Toedscruel. And Blood Moon Volcarona? Terra Normal Blood Moon Volcarona? I don't hate that. The Toedscruel redirects the Blood Moon. Thunderbolt will still do some. Well, it doesn't do much actually to Volcarona. We lose Ursaluna to a Giga Drain. Now I have Trick Room up and I'm bringing Dragapult back in. So yeah, I've played this very wrong. But let's see. I mean, the Volcarona definitely has Quiver Dance 100% because it wants to set up the Oricorio. At least in most games. I'll just do what I can into this Oricorio, I guess. Thunderbolt's better in case of a Rage Powder. And then I can Dragon Darts, or I can just lock into Outrage. I kind of like Outrage here, actually. I think I'd rather target the Volcarona at this point. But of course I don't get a choice with Outrage. Maybe Dragon Darts was better. As we take out Oricorio. But we might just knock out the Volcarona next. I mean, I can only hope. And it probably doesn't have coverage for Dragon type. Opponent says, I screwed myself in the chat. Maybe so, but happens to all of us. I do it a lot. And yeah, Dragapult does close this one out, so for all my worrying, we do start on a win here. And, I mean, that's something that I like about these top teams from top players. They're very resilient. Even if I'm not playing very well, at least for part of the game, there's usually a way to recover. It's something that I try to incorporate into my team building, at least when I put real time into it, but I mean, it's a skill that takes a while to learn. Here we've got Indeedee Armarouge stuff with Sneasler, Primarina, Meowscarada, and, interestingly, Stonjourner. What's my Indeedee Armarouge mode with this team? I have Incineroar, I have AV, Blood Moon, Ursaluna. It probably starts with those, right? Let's try leading Dragapult Ursaluna into this. I guess that's weak to Primarina. And it's kind of weak to Meowscarada, too. But if I bring Incineroar and I bring Sneasler, then I can probably cover my weak spots. They lead Primarina Armarouge. I think I'm just going to Terra and Blood Moon into Primarina right away. So in that case, I'll go for a Phantom Force into Armarouge. Try to get rid of Primarina before Dragapult comes back. Ah, it's Aqua Jet into Weak Armor Weakness Policy. I didn't think of that. And Stored Power does 90% to Ursaluna, but Ursaluna does hold on with the Assault Vest. Unfortunately, the Blood Moon does not KO Primarina. I can switch Incineroar in and preserve Ursaluna. I don't know how useful that will be into the late game. And I don't really want Incineroar to take a Liquid Voice, Hyper Voice. But honestly, I don't think it's the worst thing if it does. Then I can get Sneasler in. I'm probably counting on Sneasler to a significant extent to help me win the game. Also, they might want to Moonblast Dragapult instead of going for the water attack. So Incineroar might be able to get away with this. And I can save Ursaluna for like at least a Vacuum Wave in the late game. Probably better than sacking it here. I don't know. But Incineroar will come in for free if they click Stored Power and they don't click Water Attack. Yeah, they do Moonblast the Dragapult, so we trade Dragapult for Armarouge. Not necessarily ideal, but with the Armarouge being set up, I'm a lot comfier with it being gone. And now I get Sneasler in. I could threaten the Primarina with a Dire Claw. Not so easily now that they have Indeedee in, but we'll still try it. And we'll try to knock off Indeedee, I guess. They can redirect the Dire Claw if they want, but then I think they lose Indeedee this turn. And if they knock Sneasler down to its Sash... Oh, it's Rocky Helmet Indeedee. Okay, but they still don't KO Sneasler. We do get rid of Indeedee. Now we can threaten Primarina, unless they bring their own Sneasler in. Like that. Yeah, I might just lose to their Sneasler now, unfortunately. It might be worthwhile to sack Ursaluna here. And try to KO the Sneasler with a Flare Blitz, but that's making a lot of assumptions. I don't think they let me get that Flare Blitz off. Let's try to KO Primarina if we can, and go for a Flare Blitz into Sneasler. They probably have a way. They definitely have ways to shut this play down, but hopefully they won't do it. Well, okay, they will do it. All right, so yeah, this one didn't work out for me. As Ursaluna comes in, there's not even a target to Vacuum Wave. I'll just click Hyper Voice and lose. So that wasn't the way to play that one. I didn't think about the Aqua Jet into Weak Armor Weakness Policy Armarouge. I probably should have. I kind of tunnel visioned into them playing toward a Trick Room mode when, for the most part, this is a fast team, and so maybe I should have realized that the Armarouge was meant for a fast game plan. Oh well. We'll keep going. We got Mouseape with Farigiraf, Murkrow, Hisuian Zoroark, and Hisuian Arcanine. Zoroark's a tricky Pokemon, of course. But I think if I can get Trick Room up into this, of course the Farigiraf might be designed to stop me from doing that, but if I can, that should be pretty strong. Another option is to lead Sneasler. And something. What's the item on Amoonguss? Oh yeah, it's Covert Cloak. I'm going to try Sneasler Porygon 2 with Ursaluna and Amoonguss. I really haven't been taking advantage of Amoonguss so far this video. They lead Annihilate Farigiraf, assuming neither one is Zoroark, which... I don't know how this works. I think if I've traced Armor Tail, then this must be the real Farigiraf, right? At least I hope I can assume that. They might try to imprison my Trick Room here, but we'll go for a Dire Claw and a Farigiraf. So if they do imprison, we can get some damage and maybe poison on it. Put it on a timer. They just go right for the final Gambit with Annihilate. Knock Sneasler down to its Sash, though, so they don't get a KO. Paralyze the Farigiraf with the Dire Claw. There's the Imprison, so I don't get Trick Room up. Arcanine's coming in. We see Intimidate. It is the real Arcanine. I mean, at this point, I don't think they have Zoroark, most likely. It probably has Extreme Speed. But there's nobody I want to switch in on that, is there? I could switch... I mean, I could switch in Amoonguss if I'm predicting an Extreme Speed, but then the Farigiraf might go for a Psychic Attack. So, I think I just sack Sneasler here. Most likely. Oh, I have Arbor Tail! I forgot! And they forgot too. We get the poison on the Arcanine, and the Farigiraf is fully paralyzed. They can't Extreme Speed me because Porygon 2 has Arbor Tail. That's amazing. I'll go for a Throat Chop into Farigiraf this time. That can deny them a Hyper Voice if that's what they're going for. We're wearing down the Arcanine. It might also deny Psychic Noise, I'm not sure. So, pretty strong tech into the Farigiraf there. And actually, if they do have Psychic Noise... Well, in any case, I'm safe to get a Amoonguss in here, go Terra Water. And just like Thunderbolt Pollen Puff, I guess. Yep, so we take the Flare Blitz perfectly well with the Water Terra. Knock Arcanine out. That's Expanding Force. They probably did go for Hyper Voice earlier, maybe with Throat Spray. But we knock out the Farigiraf here. Still no Trick Room up. Haven't needed it so far. I still have Ursaluna in the back, and they forfeit. Nice. So yeah, the Sneasler really showed why Nails said that it's broken there, getting a status on every Dire Claw. This person has their own Sneasler and Dragapult set up. A couple of beefy steel types in King Gambit and Hisui and Goodra. So I don't know what we do about that. Probably try to win this game with Ursaluna as well. Incineroar can cover for a few of their other mons, but I have to be careful how I position it around the King Gambit. Let's just bring like Porygon 2, Amoonguss, Ursaluna, and Incineroar. That seems pretty strong. They lead Hisui and Goodra and Sneasler. Okay. Do I have to Terra Porygon 2 here? I don't know, it's very bulky. I'm gonna try not Terra-ing. Also, I can Rage Powder. Let's just do that. Terra Stellar, Hisui, and Goodra? What is it, Specs? Maybe. That Ice Beam just deletes Amoonguss. But I do still have my Terra, so now I can Terra Ursaluna if I want. And I can just Ice Beam and Earth Power into Sneasler, I think. And I'll still Terra to turn off the Ice Beam weakness on my Ursaluna. Okay, not Specs. And no Life Orb either. As, okay, the Earth Power just KOs Sneasler. I thought there might be a Focus Sash, but there wasn't. Ice Beam doesn't do a lot to Goodra, but it's a little bit of chip. Get chip Dragapult with it now and target an Earth Power into Goodra. Don't have to worry about a Terra because they've already used it, and of course it didn't change the defensive type of anything. They could switch Rillaboom in if they want. Otherwise, nobody on their team wants to take this Earth Power. If they have King Gambit or Incineroar in the back, it doesn't want to take this Earth Power either. The Goodra actually takes it pretty well. For some reason they go for Sludge Bomb. Trying to get the Stellar boost on another type maybe? I don't know. We'll just try to finish Goodra off here. Again, unless they have Rillaboom in the back, nothing wants to switch in on Earth Power. Terra Stellar, Ice Beam, Flash Cannon, Sludge Bomb. Don't know the last move yet. Can't say I necessarily understand what they're cooking, but okay, it's King Gambit in the back. They bring it into that slot. They're gonna probably protect on Dragapult again to stall out my Trick Room. So, I have Incineroar in the back. That's not great into King Gambit. They might just Sucker Punch Ursaluna here. Actually, in that case, I should just Vacuum Wave King Gambit instead of going for an Earth Power into it. They do protect with the Dragapult. The Sucker Punch still goes through. I think that means King Gambit is slower than my Ursaluna. But Ursaluna survives. And if it's faster than King Gambit, then that means I can knock King Gambit out here, probably. And I'll just go for another Trick Room with Porygon 2, so that it and Incineroar can be slower than Dragapult in the endgame. As the Dragon Darts KOs Ursaluna, but not before the King Gambit goes down. Vacuum Wave really showing its worth there. We see the Life Orb on the Dragapult, but that's just going to wear it down more quickly, as now it has to go take an Ice Beam and a Knockoff. And the Knockoff KOs. Perfect. The Porygon 2 just sat on the field that whole game, and it doesn't do a ton of damage, but it was definitely a thorn in the opponent's side. Here we get Altaria, a Pokemon I've been seeing more and more lately. It does have a very good support move pool in Cloud 9, but I'm still not really sold on it. Of course, back in Reg G, it did make Day 2 at Worlds. Got the Wash Rotom here too. Oh, they could be going for Perish Trap with Altaria and Gothitelle. That's funny if they are. The Sneasler looks pretty strong here with the Dark Terra. I could lead that with... I don't know what. Honestly, Amoonguss maybe? I think Nick said that Amoonguss Sneasler was his go-to lead with this team. And then I can bring Ursaluna and maybe Porygon 2. I think there's a case for Dragapult in this matchup. I think Porygon 2 is okay. Maybe I've made myself a little weak to Rillaboom. Depends on how they play it, I guess. Amoonguss is strong into Rillaboom. Sneasler too, if I get the positioning right. In any case... let's just see if we can put this Rotom to sleep and go right for Dire Claw into Incineroar. They'll probably fake something out. I think they'll fake Sneasler out. But, oh, it's Ghost Incineroar. So it'll resist the Dire Claw now. But they don't fake anything out. No status. And they get the Parting Shot into Sneasler. Not ideal. My Incineroar might have been good in this matchup, actually. But... now I can't switch out. I wanted to use the Terra Dark on Sneasler, but I kind of don't anymore because it's just not going to do that much damage with Throat Chop even after that. So... I think instead... I'll just try to Dire Claw the Gothitelle, fish for status. We do get the poison. Goldengo sets up a nasty plot, so that's going to be a menace for the rest of the game. As Amoonguss is taunted, but of course it can get the Pollen Puff off into Gothitelle. And... doesn't really have anything better to do than keep doing that. I'll go for a Throat Chop into Goldengo here. Just try to get what chip on it I can. As it's just still setting up with Nasty Plot. Hey, if I chip it down enough... oh, it has leftovers, of course. It would on this set. I was going to say, if I chip it down enough, maybe I can finish it off with Vacuum Wave from Ursaluna. I think I'm kind of dependent on that at this point. But I don't think that's enough chip for it to work. The Gothitelle really supporting the Goldengo well here by getting me stuck in a position where... still try it and try to set Trick Room. Getting me stuck in a position where the Goldengo can set up pretty freely, and there's not really anything I can do about it. They taunt Porygon 2. Yeah, so that one's just an L, I think. Vacuum Wave will KO the Goldengo at this range. They'll probably protect it or something, but like on paper it KOs. Actually, they do let me have it, but Gothitelle finishes Ursaluna off, and Porygon 2 is not going to bring this one back by itself against Incineroar and Rotom. I am finding the lack of protects on this team a little hard to deal with, being, you know, not a top player. Ice Beam into Incineroar, that's kind of funny. No freeze, unfortunately. Yeah, you need a very strong positioning game, I think, to make a team like this work. Although, again, it also maybe helps when the team is not widely known. We've got a pretty standard Rain team here. Actually, this looks like the team that won Baltimore. I like Amoonguss into this. Dragapult's alright. Dragapult's pretty good for the Population Bomb immunity and Dragon resistances in general. Maybe I'm overselling it a little bit, but I think Amoonguss Dragapult is an okay lead here. Although maybe I want to set Trick Room into a team like this. I don't know, it's hard to get Ursaluna going with the threat of the Basque Legion. So let's just bring Sneasler and... huh. I'm gonna back myself into a corner here. There's not really another Pokemon I want to bring. Porygon 2 might be okay. I don't know, Porygon 2 just doesn't really have that much power. Feels like it might not be the best pick for the kind of role I have in mind. I could do Amoonguss, Sneasler, or Porygon, or yeah, Amoonguss, Sneasler, Porygon 2, Ursaluna, drop the Dragon Dragapult. But yeah, actually, let's do that. I'm not sure I like dropping the Dragapult, but it feels like a more cohesive mode at least. We lead Mousehold Pelipper. I would like to just get rid of this Mousehold if I can. Don't know that they'll let me do that, but it would be nice. And if they do like a follow me, or a Tailwind or something, that seems like a weird play. I don't think they'll do that. But hypothetically, if they do, then I can just delete the Mousehold with Close Combat and still get a Spore into Pelipper. I protect Mousehold. Knock Sneasler down to its Sash. I'm gonna double target the Mousehold slot with Close Combat and Sludge Bomb. I think they probably switch it out here. If they don't, then it takes the Close Combat. Probably just gets KO'd. Sneasler's faster than Mousehold, right? Yeah. And alternatively, catch that. You know what? That wasn't right. That wasn't the right play. Switching into the fighting immunity was a pretty obvious call for them there. I can Rage Powder and Throat Chop Basculegion. Given that the Pelipper might wake up, I might want to Terra Water if I'm doing that. I protect Basculegion, okay. They're playing slowly, carefully. But Rage Powder and Fake Out again seems okay, or Throat Chop again seems okay. We haven't seen how they answer it, if they do. Maybe I should Dire Claw into the Basculegion slot to cover for a Grass Terra. Although if it's Grass Terra, it probably just KOs Sneasler before Sneasler gets an attack off anyway. That's our Chaladon. So I guess I'm glad I didn't Dire Claw, probably. Probably glad I didn't Dire Claw. Pelipper will wake up here. They've kind of got me in a bind with me having voluntarily turned my Amoonguss into a water type. I'll try to get a Spore off into our Chaladon. I'll also just target it with a Close Combat. Hopefully at least one of those that's, you know, comes through in a big way for me. I've almost stalled out the rain. Of course, they can pivot Pelipper out and get it back up, and they'll get started on that here. Terra Fairy or Chaladon. Imagine if I just Dire Clawed it. But Electroshot is going into Amoonguss. Just KOs. I mean, I can Dire Claw or Chaladon here. Mousehold might redirect it, but that's not the end of the world. I don't hate a Dire Claw into Mousehold. They don't have any priority on the field. I'll set Trick Room here, and I will try to Dire Claw or Chaladon. I hope it connects, but again, I don't think I mind connecting with Mousehold. But I'm really all in on Ursaluna to win the game at this point, and I don't like that. It feels like a tough situation for Ursaluna to do that. Is what it is, though, I guess. Maybe the Terra Water wasn't great, but I don't know. Sometimes I play too much to what's in front of me and don't think about what's in the back, I think. It's something to work on. But maybe dealing with what was in front of me was the best call there. I don't know. They're really thinking this one through. We get the Dire Claw into Mousehold. No status, but it does a lot of damage. And here's the Trick Room. Unfortunately, I've used my Terra, so I can't Terra Normal Ursaluna here. So I think I'll just Ice Beam into our Chaladon and click Hyper Voice. And hope that KOs everything, or gets a freeze maybe. I'm not confident that I KO everything. Blood Moon into our Chaladon would have been good there, as the Mousehold protects. Hyper Voice doesn't do that much. Freeze? No status luck for me this game. But Ursaluna takes that Draco Meteor pretty well with the Assault Vest. And Hyper Voice should KO our Chaladon now. And hopefully we can pick up the Mousehold before it gets off a Population Bomb. But might just lose to Aqua Jet Basculegion in the back. Although if I can clear these two Pokemon, then maybe Porygon 2 can win with Thunderbolt. Hyper Voice picks up both KOs. Good. So they get Pelipper and Basculegion in here. Pelipper, I think, will wake up now, right? Yeah, it's burned all its sleep turns. But I'm more afraid of Basculegion. I'll go for a Thunderbolt into Basculegion and... Blood Moon into Pelipper. Pelipper protects. Basculegion does get the Aqua Jet KO. I wouldn't bet that the crit mattered. Thunderbolt does not KO Basculegion. And I think Porygon 2 might just not have enough damage to win this. But we'll see. Also, if it's Sash Pelipper, which it probably is on this team. Okay, wait, hold on. I didn't notice the Porygon 2 had stamina. Wait, the Pelipper does less than half with Weather Ball. And Porygon 2 gets a +1 defense. There is no more Trick Room on the board, but Porygon 2 is immune to Last Respects. Basculegion will take recoil damage if it uses Aqua Jet. If Porygon 2 at +1 defense can take an Aqua Jet and then the Pelipper's attack and get a recover off, I might still be able to win this. Or not an Aqua Jet, a Wave Crash. I'm not confident that this will work. But if I can do this and stall out the rain and maybe accumulate recoil damage on Basculegion? No, we don't take the... We take the Wave Crash, but not the Weather Ball. For a moment I thought there might be a chance, but... Oh, the Weather Ball crit would have been a problem too. For a moment I thought there might be a chance, but no. There's too much damage on the other side with the rain up. So, that was the team that won the Grand Challenge. I definitely didn't play it optimally. It's, I think, a better team in a higher level player's hand, but it still has a lot of very cool techs, and I'm glad I gave it a try. And be back next time with some other tournament-proven team. We'll see how that one goes.